Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SoFi Weekly Live Show. Yes, this is live. I'm very surprised, just as much as you guys are. The great and powerful Tevis, the Fun of Investing X channel. How are you?
Doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And Roy, the great and powerful Crossroads. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Wearing your Robinhood merch? Me too. Gold month has started out well.
It has. If I had SoFi merch, I'd wear it for this, but that doesn't really exist unless it's the bootlegs side, and I'm not talking about bootleg weekly. So
yeah. Tevi, you posted a video pretty quickly. Do you guys want to start jumping into some news?
Yeah, let's hit with the big guns.
What just came out today, Tevis? I'll get the Tesla start or the Celsius started.
Yeah, exactly. We're jumping into it. We got breaking news from the OCC earlier today around nationally chartered banks changing their stance around crypto, which is pretty great. Here, I can just read the little paragraph on the Reuters article, and we can go from there. Throw up my screen. All right. U.S. regulator overseeing national banks clarified on Friday earlier today that banks can engage in some crypto activities and remove expectations firms should receive advance permission from regulators from doing so. The OCC said in a statement that national banks are permitted to engage in some crypto activities, such as crypto asset custody, some stablecoin activities, and participation in distributed ledger networks. They also rescinded their prior guidance telling banks how they should clear any crypto activities with regulators beforehand, including showing that they have adequate controls in place for that business. Obviously, a step in the right direction. What do you guys think?
Roy has previously thought that SoFi wouldn't have crypto for 52 more years. So
we got crypto before level 1 options, so there's that.
Most likely.
Yes, of course. And Tanner predicted, of course, it'd have it within 2 seconds, and that didn't happen either. So
I said Q1. We are in Q1, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not happening in Q1. If the OCC was the only regulatory body over banks, then yeah, maybe. But even that, probably not. There's a lot of legislation.
At how fast they're moving, though?
Yes. Yeah, I think that realistically, there's a decent chance, basically mid-year. So that's a lot faster than I expected. Like this is actually shocking to me, and it's one of those things. Not Robinhood Weekly, but this impacts Robinhood and also SoFi and Coinbase and many others as well. Banks, actually, just large banks that you don't think of in terms of crypto. 2 key priorities, other than like tariffs and all that stuff, that the administration has really moved on, and Vlad kind of keyed in on this in a great fireside chat this week, is AI and crypto. And it's kind of surprising to me. AI, not as much, but that crypto is such a, like, I just thought it was like not quite pandering to the voters, but there was an element to that. Like, hey, maybe if we're crypto friendly, then we'll get a few extra votes and that'll push the needle and we'll throw them a couple of bones. That doesn't seem to be the case. This seems top of mind. We had Crypto Summit this week, which I'm sure that we'll talk about as well. But like this piece as well. And it's clear that the administration is pushing, David Sachs is a part of that too, as a crypto czar, is really pushing that change in regulation so that they can actually do something with crypto, and the United States can lead the way here. So this is a part of that push. It's one of many, many other hurdles that still need to be cleared, but they are jumping over hurdles a lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah, I agree. They are moving quicker. I think it's easier to take down regulation than it is to start putting up barriers. So hopefully this does actually mean that SoFi will be able to move quicker. Even some of the things that were in there I found very fascinating, like not just for SoFi, but just for banking in general. Being able to hold stablecoin reserves, serve as a blockchain verification node. I thought that was really interesting because I think whenever there's a lot of areas in crypto whenever you have to sort of trust these potential businesses that you've never heard of. And so if larger institutions with real brand recognition can start coming into this business, I think that that's very exciting for certain aspects of, like, you know, staking Solana or something like this. Obviously, it'll probably be more on the side of larger cryptocurrencies, but I'm still very excited about where this is headed. But that's not the only news that we got this week. This is probably going to be a 80 to 90%, maybe even larger, conversation around SoFi, because there was a lot of different pieces of news.
Can we talk more about this before we go on? Because I think it's, my channel is super small. Tevis did a good job of going through some of the regulatory bodies. Great, real quick video, Tevis. I love the context that you provided. Tanner did nothing with. No, I'm just messing with you, Tanner. But in case this is the only thing that you watch, I don't want people to come away from this thinking, okay, if they don't launch on Monday, then SoFi has whiffed again, and they have a terrible tech team and all that stuff. That's not the case. Let me share some screens here, and we'll go through them pretty quick. I'm not going to go through the entire detail of every single thing, but some of these are very important. So OCC is just one regulatory body. There's 8 others, but the big 3 is the OCC, the Federal Reserve, and FDIC as well, just because of the insurance. So this was from the OCC, but they also had one with, I believe it was the Fed. It might be FDIC. A part of their original agreement, conditional agreement and acceptance of the banking charter, that whole deal with SoFi, and it included explicit verbiage on not engaging basically in anything crypto related. And so the nature of U.S. law, Tim commented on this too in a message, is that just because the laws change doesn't mean that this piece that was conditional for your banking charter just disappears. They still have to get actual clearance from the OCC on top of all the other hurdles that come. Now, I don't think that's going to be a high hurdle. In fact, I think that the OCC seems like it's moving faster than some of the other regulatory bodies. So it's likely that from their perspective, they're going to give the all clear well before the other agencies give their clear. So I don't think it's much of a hurdle, but that's something to keep in mind. So in this statement where they actually clarify that they're able to engage in cryptocurrencies, it's some, but it's not a lot. And then in the interpretive letter, it rescinded this whole document here, which is great. But this is a letter that they published today that kind of gave some details on this. The other was just their comments on it. They said that they still are examining these 3 interpretive letters. This is just for them. And so it goes through. This first one is a big one. OCC Interpretive Letter 1170 addresses whether banks may provide crypto asset custody services. That's a big deal. That's what the crypto platform's about. It's not about being a wallet where you can hold crypto and send crypto, but not really spend it, not use it, not buy, not sell, not trade. And so they need to clarify that piece. Now, these 2 here, letters 1172 and 1174, are very important, especially here for the stablecoin for bigger banks. This is a stablecoin as well. They need to provide clearance on that and regulation as well. This could take months. OCC seems particularly motivated. It may not take that long, but there's other bodies as well. They also mentioned that they basically backed away from 2 different joint statements. These are joint statements done by 3 different bodies. So Federal Reserve right there, FDIC, and the OCC themselves. And they basically made it, both that statement and then this one as well. They're a mouthful as far as the title, but you guys can Google them, look them up, read them yourself. They're not really that long or that complicated. It's 20-something pages. But the other organizations on this, Federal Reserve and the FDIC, have not, near as I can tell, rescinded this. And so if you read this document, it doesn't have this big rescinded title like here. Now, there's more as well. So I'm not trying to, be Roy Bear. I am, but, I just want to give a dose of reality that Tanner is almost certainly not correct. And I don't mean that but I'm also almost certainly not correct. They're moving a lot faster than I thought that they would. Governments usually don't move this speed. They're moving with a sense of urgency, but it still takes time. So, we don't know for sure. It would be great if SoFi's team actually commented on some of the remaining hurdles. I don't think that they would, but hopefully it would be really nice to get that. But I'm guessing mid-year is a strong possibility. It could be later than that too.
Yeah, I mean, when I made that video, my ask at the end of the video was simply for SoFi's management to chime in, even something as simple as a tweet. I don't think that they would, but I do think strategically now is the time to press on the gas and add more pressure and leverage some of those maybe connections or networks, because you had the Fed having their stance, you have the OCC now, you had the crypto summit. There's a lot of activity and chatter, and I would love the SoFi team to capitalize on that. Maybe not for the sake of the retail investor awareness to keep us dummies in the loop, but to expedite it even further, to go from the defensive to the offensive now that the momentum is on their side.
And they have been known to do this, like whenever they felt like the regulation wasn't fair for them during the student loan moratorium side. They came out pretty strongly and made some noise in the market. If they think that potentially, their very specific, what would you call it, amendment for their bank charter is potentially unfavorable for them or unfair, I'm sure they'll make a stink about it. So we'll keep an eye out for it.
And it wouldn't just be in the court of public opinion. Like they could actually sue at that point.
Right.
So, but there's many other hurdles in the way. I am guessing that they'll probably have conversations with this regulatory body, especially when they have kind of clarify, especially that first joint letter that I mentioned that really impacts their whole crypto platform. At that point, they'll say probably like, so from your perspective, are we good to go? And they'll have either 30 days or 60 days to reply. May not even take that long. And once they do, then they'll have that piece in their back pocket. But yeah, if the green light is there for all these other banks and everything, and SoFi's like, hey, we filed this like 2 weeks ago, we've not heard back from you guys, it's the only thing holding us up. Yeah, it's gonna be unfair, and they will raise a stink.
Any other comments about this new move from the OCC that we saw today?
I think the last thing is just, Chris has posted some things on this in the past. He actually retweeted this as well, but this is not like some little side platform that doesn't really matter. It's not meaningful for SoFi. This was their invest platform. I mean, they have stocks, they have equities, they have not level 1 options. They'll never have that, but level 2. But the biggest piece, and the part that really I felt like they excelled on, like it wasn't just okay, like the current equity platform. It was a really good platform. It's a crypto platform, and they had to divest away from that. That comes back. They have a lot more members than ever. I think crypto is in public consciousness a lot more as well. This is going to be a meaningful bit of revenue for them, I think, over the years. It's hard to see it any other way, even if, let's say, it launches in 6 months and it's in the middle of crypto winter. It won't have the volume right away, but it'll build over time, and they handle it very, very well. So this is not a small thing, guys. This is a big deal.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind is that their platform has grown since the last time that they had crypto on the platform. So from a cross-selling perspective as well, it's pretty low barriers to entry for a new person discovering the ecosystem for the first time to onboard onto the crypto platform. So it's going to be even more beneficial now that the entire ecosystem is, more rich in general, and especially considering SoFi Plus, there's stuff that they can do there. And I mean, Matt Flo asked this. He asked, how fast can SoFi really move on this? And you got to remember that he asked it again right now. So funny timing, but they had this already live at some point or another. Like it's easier. It's not something that they're implementing from the very ground up, from ideation to writing requirements to tickets to designs to development and QA. Like they already had all of this before. I'm sure the back end is going to be the more difficult part to reintegrate it. But I would imagine that they've put in some thought proactively, just knowing what we know about SoFi management. They think much further ahead than we do on this podcast, and they have a further line of sight into what's going on behind the scenes than the normal retail investor does. And I would imagine that Anthony Noto's comments at the Q4 earnings call were calculated, that when he says, oh, well, he sort of throws that comment like in passing. well, we might go into custody, we might go into, crypto-backed securities or whatnot. I can bring up the exact quote. I would bet you money that they've already had those internal conversations, and they've probably already done some internal research around what they would want to go into immediately following that decision, in anticipation of that decision. And so in my mind, it's not necessarily how fast can they move to bring the brokerage side of the business back, but how fast can they move to release new products that we've never seen before into that space, because they're just hitting the unpause button, but they internally know that this is a long time coming.
Can you throw up? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tanner.
No, I was just going to say, I heard from an SoFi employee themselves that said it's going to be a little bit hard to bring back the old code. It's not as easy as just, clicking re-enable. So they did talk about that. However, they didn't work directly with this product. But so there was a little bit of that. But I'm sure that they've been thinking about this. This is not like, oh, wow, crypto's coming back for banks. It's kind of been in the focus for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like we're just turning it on, but it's also not, we're building it absolutely from scratch. Like they're already, even if they're not 50% of the way there, they're 25% of the way there, because they have refactoring and all this other stuff, because the code base has gotten more complex since when they had crypto the last time. So my point is like they already have, they're not starting from zero.
Yeah. And the only code that I know of before that they have taken down and then re-entered was the FDIC insurance into multiple groups at 250,000. I think they had that back in 2018, 2019 or something like this. They took it away. And then during the Silicon Valley bank crisis, they brought it back in 2 weeks. So that re-enabled. So that was very interesting, and the timeline was very quick. That's the only other example I can think of where that happened.
It should be easier than level 1 options, you think. So, they should be on it.
Doesn't give me any sign of hope, though, either.
No, I mean, like,
and as hard as level 1 options is a pretty large.
I'm sure that they'll want to update the UI, that they'll have some things to tweak, but I don't think, especially given the timetable, it wasn't like that this was the first thing with crypto that was signaled. So really from January, they should have been working towards this.
Yeah.
I have to think that well before that, even with Anthony Noto basically, intimating twice that this year was the most bullish as far as macro since he's been at SoFi. And I know that a lot of that does have to do with lending, but certainly not all of it. I think there's tech platform tailwinds, but also crypto. This is a big piece of them. And so like B-Dubs had a comment. What's it?
I don't have it saved. I've been saving a couple of comments to go back to, but
he said in 9/16 or 10/16 your time, SoFi 2025 golden year is quickly becoming a 2026, 2027 story. I disagree.
Yeah, no.
This crypto, when we were putting our price targets, at least for myself and projections, I had not banked at all, pun intended, on crypto invest being even in existence at all for a single day this year. The lending platform, we're going to talk about it more tonight. It's incredible. They're going to do awesome things with that. Higher probability of rate cuts right now. This is not a 2026, 2027 story. It is, but don't sleep on 2025. Even if the price action is lulling you into sleep and you're saying, oh, it's going to go back to single digits, we'll see dark mode Roy again. No, I don't think so. Maybe briefly, but it's still a 2025 story.
Yeah, no, I completely think so. And in fact, I just made a video talking about the companies that I'm focused on buying. And like SoFi was number 1 on that list. And I want to talk about why. There's a piece to that story that I didn't add and I wanted to save for the SoFi Weekly. So we'll get into that, but we'll make that a later story.
Where was Joby in that list?
Joby wasn't on the list. Neither was Anchovy, which is what Steve called Archer. He thought it was called Anchovy. I was like, you think the 2 biggest players in this market are Joby and Anchovy? But there was another unbelievably large piece of news this week. SoFi closed on a $700 million securitization, of which they sold those loans that they didn't actually own. Those were owned by partners that they had underwritten and that they had found for them using their members, and also found the customers to buy these loans from them. What does this mean to you guys? Because to me, this is so much more to the loan platform business than I had ever given credit for. Heavy?
Yeah, I mean, it adds another layer to it, which is really interesting. What's that Alex Hormozy quote where he's like, there's different levels of wealth, and one of them is like you make money for other people and then you make money with other people's money, and it goes like on, it's like points of leverage. That's what I thought about when I thought about this, because at first they were originating on behalf of themselves, and then they were securitizing their own originations, their own loans, their own book, and then now they're originating on behalf of others, and now they're securitizing the originations on behalf of others. And it's just leverage on top of leverage, which is kind of great, because the fact that they can do this just speaks to their presence in the market, their excellence around marketing and their branding in general. I want to see more of this, right? Because this is so synergistic with loan platform business ramping up. If they have so much demand from the loan platform business, this is an extra way that they can squeeze more out of that business.
One thing that I like about it too, and I completely agree, Tevis, not too much to add on that part. Unlike the other segments of their business, where unless they're releasing a new product or they hit a huge milestone with users, they tend to not say much. And so loan platform business is different. It's an actual platform, like you said, Tevis, but they can announce these things, like hotcakes. And yes, the headline is very flashy of however many millions or billions, but they're making really good revenue at basically no risk. Like there's not negligible. You just don't factor risk into the equation. It's so bullish, guys.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited about this. I also like that well, we're not exactly sure how the revenue breaks down, but I'm sure that they took some sort of advisory fee, referral fee, something that connected their partner network with, the loans that they had already previously sold. And by the way, the size of it, people are saying, oh, 700 million, that doesn't seem like a lot. They've done larger deals in the past. But it's based on the loan platform business, of which $2.1 billion have sold. This is a third of the loans that they are wanting to securitize, and that they even said in the press release that they wanted to go back into the market, use that money to go back into the loan platform business. And from what I'm reading, like the other companies in the industry are not succeeding the way that SoFi is succeeding. Like it's one of those times where, you can look to Upstart saying that they are having potentially weaker momentum in Q1, or, Lending Tree saying they're doing all right in personal loans. Like, I don't know. It depends on where you can look. There is not as much strength as what you're seeing come out of SoFi, and that's what's demanding a premium of them, right? And then so whenever you mix that market share gain, that success in the face of other people's weaknesses, and the stock is drawing down because they're being blanketed under this industry, there's definite opportunity in these sort of sell-offs. Which, by the way, have you guys purchased any SoFi stock?
If SoFi is under $14 by March 14th, I will be the proud new owner of 3,000 shares.
Got you.
$14, which is great. So yeah, we'll see where it closes next week. But if it's under 14, then I'm buying 3,000 shares.
Well, the thing that I would say is that you should have set it to 13. I think that there's a magic number to 13. You guys see where I'm going with this? So this was the thing. I said I'd leave it for later. I guess it's going to be right now. You guys remember whenever Anthony Noto wanted to get a potential loan on his 2 million shares of SoFi stock? Or I think it was, pledged 2 million shares. Well, one of the caveats of this was that there was a price cap for Goldman Sachs to say, if SoFi is going to run up this high, that we don't want to get burnt on just taking a few shares. So we need a price cap of $30.74. This was really bullish. But it wasn't the only bullish number that they also gave us. They also gave us a floor price of $13.06, which they said essentially was, hey, if it falls anywhere below $13, we are still going to take a maximum of only 2 million shares, and it won't continue to climb upwards. And we're confident that it's going to be above this price going forward, right? Now, it is a further ways away, but still, there is that layer of safety in my head that under $13.06, I am a buyer the same way that, Goldman Sachs is also betting quite positively on this stock after that price.
So I don't remember seeing this, and maybe you mentioned this on your, I know you had the ranking definitely, but which right now are you buying more of? Is it Nvidia?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. I was curious. So I said had not bought. And the reason, I have two reasons. One is SoFi, despite falling a lot, is still my second biggest position, I think. I'd have to double check, but I believe that's the case.
Behind Palantir.
Yeah, there's no way that it's not. Pardon?
Behind Palantir?
Yeah, Palantir is like number one and nothing is close. Yeah, SoFi is number two, and there's really nothing close. Like Robinhood fell, HIMS fell. If they kept rising, maybe they'd be close, but it was so much bigger. And the other reason is I think this dip might have longer to go. And so I'm being very cautious, very slow with my buys. I don't want to exhaust my cash and get down to zero. Really for the next 2 months. I think that might last that long. I'm not sure, don't know for sure. And so the only things I bought were companies that I'm either already DCAing into each week, and that doesn't change in events like this. That's Robinhood. And those are small DCAs. Those aren't like massive buys, guys. They're not hundreds and hundreds of shares. And then the other was PayPal, just because I sold out of two companies that were a wait and see thing. PayPal's kind of that, but I have great certainty as far as the timetable, where they're going, how they're getting there, the potential upside, and the likelihoods as well. And I'm like, hey, makes sense to hold that when it was in the mid 60s. This is the dumbest thing ever. I'd rather hold that than cash.
Yeah. It is important. Like I'm saying, I'm buying. I'm trying not to use every last dollar that I have to buy right now. Although these dips seem very juicy, things can get a little bit juicier. So, keep that in mind whenever you go to look at stocks, or, if the dips are quote unquote cheap, we have seen quite the large run up in recent history in some names. So, yeah. Now, speaking of which, that doesn't mean that everyone is a buyer of SoFi this week. All right. Shout out to Tradester JJ here for pointing this out. March 4th, Cathie Wood does what she does best. She sells companies lower than she potentially bought them at in other areas. And she doesn't care about the innovation for SoFi in the long term. She thinks that this stock is going down. What does this mean to you guys?
She must really love Roku. Company Roku. I'm still bitter that when she sold Palantir, which I think is the most innovative thing out there, she bought Roku with that money. And I'm like, dude, innovation is kind of a joke. So Cathie Wood, I think, does great with seeing the direction that things are heading in. Timing, she's probably worse than Elon Musk, with deflationary trends and AI and all this stuff, automation. We're getting there eventually. It's just going to take a little bit longer. She's, I think, too optimistic, really, is probably the best way to describe her and Musk. But yeah, with SoFi, they didn't dump it because of innovation. And it's not rebalancing in this case. That's what she does.
Yeah. Was that a serious pronunciation of the company?
Which one?
Roku.
Oh, is that not how they're Roku?
I think it's just Roku. I don't know. You had to, we got to play it back. It sounds close, but it threw us all off.
It's six, the number 6. It's a cool story behind it, but come on.
I can't ever have there can never just be any name. If you get to know Roy, he's just oh, well, actually, that has a lot of meaning behind it because of this story right here. And then the History Roy should have his own podcast where he goes through an insane amount of detail that he knows in every single area.
Well,
Japanese, right? Yeah, it's 6 in Japanese.
yeah. So it's a 6 company that the founder had created,
Yeah.
and so he named it Roku.
Yeah, it was born out of Netflix. Anthony Wood.
Cool. Super cool. I missed Japanese class in was that 4th grade? I didn't take it.
We learned a little bit in kendo in college, so Japanese sword fighting is cool.
Oh god. Dude, I thought you were short form in kindergarten because I said grade 4 and then you were like, no, we started learning it in kendo.
No.
All right, my bad. I need to get caught up on the Japanese.
Have you ever seen kendo, Tanner?
No. I mean, maybe, but is that like the wooden swords?
Yeah, but like they like smack each other in the head with them. It's like so weird.
I've done that. That was in practice too. It was early in the morning. I was tired, and we were doing like I can't remember what drill it was, but we're supposed to stop like really close to their head, but swing full swing. And this is not with the boken, but with the shinai. No, other way around. So the actual thick wooden sword. I hit him pretty hard across the head. He went down.
You can use the sheath too, can't you? In kendo,
What's that?
you can use the sheath, or is there no sheath?
There's not a sheath, no. At least I have not seen one. I was such a novice, so I don't know. But
all right. Well, where do we go from here? Kendo Roy, is there another story that you wanted to cover on SoFi?
I think so the crypto summit. I think that's a big one that we should discuss too. First, do you think anyone from SoFi was there?
No.
Yeah, Michael Saylor's there, Vlad Tenev, Armstrong as well, but I'm sure a number of others. I didn't see many pictures of it, and there's not too many things released. One thing that seemed like that we were and we had confirmed was that there still will be capital gains taxes, which makes sense to me. If they're doing it on equities, you need to do that on crypto too. I think Tevis and I talked about it on Bootleg, if I'm not mistaken. Capital gains taxes on crypto.
Yeah, they're talking about like removing them or paying them in crypto, or I don't think anything came of it in the summit.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, if there are ramifications for SoFi that you think that come out of this, other than just showing yet again that this is a priority, an actual priority for this administration, which is a benefit for SoFi.
Everyone's talking about UFC in the chat, and I've just realized I'm a stock junkie because I tried typing in UFC card in Google and I typed in USD card. So it just comes out. The second I type U, it just finishes USD.
You notice how it's only like my chat that talks about like UFC and traveling to Japan, and then your chat is like actual SoFi stuff.
Yeah, we're investors.
Yeah, we're just fun people over here.
I'm not. I invest in PayPal.
Yeah, you hate investing. Yeah, I actually do think like now I don't think that in PayPal investors hate investing, but I think there's some level of value investing where they just hate having fun.
I mean, yeah, they probably hate money, and
not that they hate money, they just love money to an extent where they'll just like, I don't know, make it so boring. It's so, like, I don't know.
But well, yeah, it's we won't go into like the full value discussion, but I think one of those shifts that's happened, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, and it seemed like it was very gradual, and now it's all at once, where value investing used to be about finding undervalued companies, even if they weren't profitable, but you could see the growth arc, and they're like, man, this is a deep value. And you buy that, and you hold that over the long term, knowing it might not be an instant play. Now it just seems like it's about the PE ratio, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Although it's not at times too. Like that's not the whole thing. Apple is the weirdest thing. Maybe we'll talk about Apple after hours and large cap. There might be some other things we talk about too, but like that has done really, really well this year. And there's very little innovation. They have buybacks. They're a massive flight to safety. But like, so this week, actually the last few weeks, the market has been so turbulent, and it's mostly because of tariffs. And I'm like, are people forgetting that Apple could be pretty impacted by tariffs? It's not a small thing. Apparently,
Dude, I think it's weird. Like, everyone thinks that innovation just stifles growth. I don't think Apple's business is sticky enough to mean that they can't see negative growth. And I mean, they have seen it in past history. And I don't believe in that company at that valuation. I mean, they're very strong, but like they're more expensive than Nvidia. And it's like, okay, what would I want? A trailing 3-year, total revenue growth of 1.5%, or would I want 70%?
and
And then look at margins too. But that's just,
yeah. And if you look like today at the PE, you're like, yeah, it's a little more than Nvidia. It's a good bit more actually. You look at next year, you're like, okay, Apple is still, I think, overvalued. I'll just say it. And Nvidia looks really attractive. You look 2 years out, which I don't think is too hard to project in that industry. It looks just obscene. Like, I have no idea. Even if you like flight to safety and you're like, hey, Nvidia has risk, it does. It is risky. It is exposed to geopolitical elements as well. Some disruption. I think that's overblown. They think it's cyclical. It's not. Not anymore. They think it's all hardware. And it's like, man, I don't know what's going on there. But Apple is just not as safe as people think. It makes no sense. There's safe stocks that are boring out there that you'll do just fine in. Just go into those.
yeah.
But markets can be irrational over short term. And I would not short Apple ever. I think what's most likely to happen in a bull market is Apple will just underperform the rest of the Mag 7 and a broad part of the market, even as the indices rise, if that rally will broaden. And it may not go down in valuation, but it just kind of be flat over a period of time. And we've seen this, like Apple's been around as a public company long enough. It goes for these long stretches of multiple years where it runs up, usually because of some underlying catalyst that's actually legitimate. And then it will get really, really excited and not crash, but just be flat for a long time before it takes off again.
Yeah, I mean, could be the case. Could be the case. I just I'm not betting on that company, and I bet because of the such like little amount of short interest that there could be some pretty good priced options on betting against them. I'm not going to be playing any of those. I think that there could be people that make a lot of money betting on a downfall of the biggest company in the world. And I have no faith in them, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, no faith as far as growth prospects compared to other stocks. You're not saying they're going out of business or to zero or something.
No. They're definitely not going down to zero. I just think there needs to be a valuation correction. I mean, they could go down. Like, I think that they could be adjusted to where they should be. And if they don't get their innovation in order, like, sleek, thinner designs is not enough. I mean, that's not... I think the fall of certain businesses is whenever they just come out with 1,000 different color variations of the same product. I think that that's a pretty good sign that things are starting to suck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, Costco's another one too that's been pointed out as by our good friend Steve, and maybe we'll talk about a Sofi article that also came out. But at least there with Costco, I could look at it and be like, okay, I see the merit. Like, you look at the P and everything, you look at the growth, PEG, everything, and it's like, yeah, it's overpriced. I wouldn't want it for that price, but it's a great company with a massive moat. The actual members of Costco, they're cult members. They're cult members usually for the rest of their life. They spread those cult-like beliefs to their offspring. Like, they're just going to continue to print money. They really are. And so I wouldn't buy Costco. I'm not interested in that, but I can see the appeal. Not Apple. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not even a cult anymore. Like, I see people break away from the ecosystem. It's hard, but it can be done.
There are some, yeah, definitely, especially as things improve or even go to different mediums, whether that's AI or some sort of glasses type thing. If they fall behind on these types of areas, I mean, people will switch, and it's not going to be based on the contacts or whatever that you have that are already there, or your blue bubbles versus green bubbles. I think that these are fake moats. Now, we can go on to two different stories. There's two things that I want to talk about, at least on the SoFi Weekly. S&P 500 or S&P 400 rebalancing as well. And there was another one I was going to say. I forget now. I saw it in the chat. Oh, Robinhood Gold Month. If you guys thought that the trivia thing was quite cool.
Yeah.
Mainly Tevis. I know what Roy thought.
Dude, I'm so freaking jealous. I can't play that shit. I would smoke all your asses in that.
Would you? I know
Did
the
you get it
second one
right?
was pretty easy, and I'm still mad at myself because I messed up on the SEC question, and it just was like
What was it?
It's like, so one thing too,
Who's
as
the
you look
governing
at that,
body
if
of
you've
the
not
stock
played,
market?
it's quicker than you expect. The timer actually starts before you see anything
What
on the screen.
There used
And
to be a game that like totally blew up. And I
Yes,
remember because
it's the exact same thing.
I used to play it. This is like 2017. There was like a person on video and they would ask a question and you have to pick. What was
It's
it
the
called?
exact same guy.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the HQ Trivia.
HQ Trivia.
host.
That was it. Yeah. What was the SEC question?
This was I think genius as far as marketing. The amounts, like $1,600 or $1,800 in crypto. They gave everybody something free later. Now there's a cost to it as far as a business, but I'm just talking about as a user. It's like, it's really exciting to the point that I ended up, I work for a living and everything. And on Thursday, I hadn't planned my day around it, but I was like, I'm going to set an alarm just because I do not want to miss this event. Even though I didn't think that I would, I got really busy, and it actually, well, not too busy. I got caught up in something else. I'll just say that. Having lunch with a friend. Tevis knows a friend. But anyway, I realized once I was in the vehicle, I'm like, oh man,
you know that friend.
Yeah. I realized once I was in the vehicle, I'm like, man, this is like sooner than when I can get back home. So where do I want to pull over, interrupt my commute from home, and play this game? Partly because it's fun, partly because it's like, hey, I'd love to have. Ended up being $1,600. And of course, I missed the fourth question. Now, the frustrating thing, first day is something timed out that I was double checking. I should have put the answer. I actually would have gotten it wrong anyway, because it was those three companies which were not in the S&P 500. There's two that I'd not ever heard of before. I would have missed the last two questions anyway. I had no idea that Doge was founded in 2013.
I had no clue.
And I can't remember the very last question, but I would have missed that one too.
It was the largest IPO. It was Lineage, but the most press actually came from
Reddit, which I
Reddit. And so I would have picked Reddit as well.
No, the second day, I messed up on that question, and I was like, oh, I clicked it and I was like, oh, no. And then it was too late, because you literally have like 3 seconds. It says 10. When he stops talking, you maybe have like a second and a half.
Yeah, but you don't need to wait for him to finish talking.
Oh yeah, I know. But it goes by so fast. So I clicked an answer, and then I was like, wait, no, I'm an idiot. It's ASAC. And the frustrating thing is, if I was in the game, every single one of the rest I thought were really easy. I would have gotten all of them. Some were like process of elimination, like who created Doge. Like they had Satoshi, Elon Musk, and I'm like, well, neither of those guys. And then some guy I'd never heard of. I'm like, well, it has to be him. So that was frustrating. It's like, man, first day, whatever. But yeah, missed out on it just because I overthought. I always do that on tests.
Yeah, there was people that were using some sort of camera reading thing where they were showing the phone to the screen. It was immediately giving a response back. I think they were using Claude or something. I forget what it was, but
Perplexity. Perplexity.
Yeah. So I don't actually think we'll see a return of it. Exactly because of that. But which is so funny, right? Because the last time that they did all those HQ trivia things, there was no real AI, and the Google searches just were not going to be fast enough.
Yeah.
But giving such a precise answer through AI just essentially obliterates this as a potential quiz game that could happen on a monthly basis.
Which I guess maybe we talked about it in Robinhood Weekly too, but it felt like that they were going to do this, maybe not like every month or anything, but like a few times a year, possibly. And that would have been awesome. Like, it was really fun. So
they have another one, though. It's something about the amount of dollars that you put into the Robinhood account counts as potential tickets to then get a gold bar.
Yeah. I was actually...
It must be like a 1 ounce.
Well, so they have a 1 ounce and then a whole bunch that are just grams, I believe, like a few grams.
Okay.
So they're giving it to 1,000 people, potential winners. And it's funny because I was like half awake, and I dream about stocks sometimes, guys. So, but I actually thought, oh man, they have this gold event, and it's the lost city of gold. It would be cool if they do something with real gold, like a giveaway or something like that. And here we are.
Yeah, yeah, and two more to come,
Yeah.
and then the gold event. I said I was going. I'll be there in Vegas, so that'll be exciting.
Hope you have fun.
Thank you. Should be.
I hope I have fun too.
Sorry?
I hope I have fun too.
Yes. Yeah, Roy is also going. Devis, did you get your ticket? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
They don't love me. They don't love me enough.
Well, you own like 2 shares.
I own way more than 2 shares now. Kelly made me buy more.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to buy their love, and it's clearly not working.
Well, that's probably why it started going down.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Upstart macro index. We talked about this last week. It did actually slightly get revised down. If you remember, month over month, it was actually 10% down. It was 1.53. It got adjusted to 1.51. I don't know how they take, such old data. We're already a month more past the end part of this month, but yet they're still changing what they thought that the January numbers looked like.
Is this Upstart like the company?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that their AI and algorithms work, so it's probably some dude like on Excel and just manually tweaking things. No knock on dudes that use Excel; they can be pretty cool, I hear.
They're coming up on version 19 of their algorithm, which I think is so interesting, right? They have their AI day coming up in May or something, and it is very exciting. But it's like, to what degree is it actually artificial intelligence versus, the weightings that Sofi is also doing on their underwriting? They're doing instant approval underwriting. They're like, it's the exact, well, I can't say it's the exact same thing. I don't want to speak out of term, but to say that Sofi does not have machine learning on their side is probably also a falsity. And I think that this massive moat that Upstart has is probably not true to the extent that people think it is, especially if they underperform at certain times. Not on the stock basis. I mean, on their loan performance side.
Yeah, their stock's so volatile too. But I don't know. I think the results at a certain point speak for themselves, and to see that kind of the underperformance, really exhibits they don't have nearly the advantage that the market assumed back in 2020 when machine learning. Oh man, that's amazing, and then AI.
Yeah. Now it's all about artificial intelligence, and it's definitely what I've been buying lately, because for some reason everyone thinks that Nvidia is no longer going to be able to hold up their growth, even though every company is coming out and saying, hey, you know what, we cannot buy enough GPUs. And oh, by the way, there's only one player. Sorry, I'm not going to get on a tirade.
I'm there with you. I'm an Nvidia shareholder. All of us are. So
are we all?
Right, Thomas? You own some? No, that was in your dividend portfolio. Did you get out of Nvidia too?
No, I got called away on my Nvidia. I can get back into Nvidia.
Just like doing us a favor.
Sure.
Honestly, is enough.
Wait. It's low enough.
Yeah. I was planning on it eventually, but now I'm glad I got called away on my Nvidia, because it's down like, I think I bought it at like 132 or something, and I got called away at like 142 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And it just started. This was before earnings, and this is why I think 2 weeks ago or last week I was like, I might buy Nvidia on earnings. Like, I don't really care. I'm not in a rush. And yeah.
I'm not going to let you do this saying how right you were. Okay, the market is wrong, and so were you. You should have rebought. It's a beautiful company.
Hey man, that money, you think that money stayed in cash that I got called away on Nvidia? It bought other shit that's now down. So
no, I mean morally wrong. I don't mean, you actually did very well. You would have been worse off if you held it, but morally you went against Nvidia.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, which everyone cares about in stock market. It's not about making money. It's about the moral decisions. That being said, though, I was just gonna. Oh, we could probably set up a way for you to pump the stock here. If you purchase 100 shares, it will drop. But yeah, because anytime you buy stock, it falls. But if you buy 100 shares really fast and then write covered calls on it, that might guarantee the stock just enough momentum to push it higher.
Yeah, I might.
You create a strategy to rig the market.
That's awesome.
I could probably do a cash secured put on Nvidia this week, and then
No. I didn't say
that's
that.
bullish. That's bullish. Well, or really bearish.
Not how I put them.
Oh no.
I don't want you to write cash secured puts. I'm telling you to buy 100 shares and then write a covered call. That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to make the stock pump.
What's the lowest leg you can put it down? Because I'm thinking like maybe he puts it at 40 and it crashes down to 39 bucks. That would be amazing.
For a little bit.
Bro,
that would be amazing.
I'm way more likely to put a cash secured put at 140 than I am at 40.
Dude, you can lose 100 shares, a cash secured put at $40, lose 100 shares, okay? And you're going to make millionaires. Many people will get generational wealth if you lose that money.
We got your back, Tevis. We got your back.
You guys never do, but I appreciate it.
I'm looking up the lowest leg now. Okay, 130, 190, 87, 50 bucks. 50 bucks. Do it.
No, I'm not doing that shit. What would the premium be for like 120? Like 10 bucks?
Man, I just closed it.
10 bucks, 11 bucks. I'll do that. I'll do 120 for Friday, and then I'll own it. And I'll write covered calls at like 122.
I mean, that's not bullish for us, so it's
yeah. You're trying to do yourself a favor.
I'm not locking up 10K for like 50 bucks.
It's not about you. It's about do your community a favor.
Exactly.
The Canadians coming out.
Yeah, 131 for 120.
Did I say that? What did I say?
Oh, those are.
How to boot you?
I didn't say that bad. It's not about you.
860 on the 120 strike this week.
Maybe.
It's not bad, actually.
XAI is planning on getting 1 million GPUs this year. That was not my understanding. My understanding is that they wanted to eventually get to 1 million GPUs, but their thought is that they're going to get to 300,000 by the summer.
Did you guys actually hear that Microsoft is considering punting OpenAI for XAI now?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Really?
Well, they're looking at a bunch of different options. They're looking at all the competitors.
Yeah, but Grok is in the running now, which is kind of crazy to think.
I mean, it's so good, guys.
Yeah, there's reasons to say that they might be leading the charge, but honestly, I think everyone's writing off ChatGPT way too quickly. ChatGPT 4.5 is crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The nice thing about that is it actually knows me, so it has all these memories that I've allowed it to remember in our interactions. And
Grok, you mean? No,
not Grok.
Yeah,
I'm saying
they don't do memory.
Yeah. And that is a meaningful difference. I'm going to go to that when I need to write a letter where I've already written it a billion times. I'm like, hey, to this person about this thing, go. Boom. It's got everything there, puts the address perfectly, done.
Yeah.
Bro, that's still scratching the surface. I mean, I posted on Twitter this week. I don't know if you guys saw this. I posted, I think I broke Grok. Did you guys see this?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
I was here. I'll throw up the post. I posted, I think I broke Grok. Poor little guy got stressed out for 12 minutes and threw in the towel. It thought for like 12 minutes and then was like, sorry, man, I can't do it.
What did you ask it?
A lot of shit. So I'm like, oh, that's cute. Roy's reformatting letters.
Well, I did that. And the other thing, I'll get some random historical anecdote in my mind. And this one wasn't like really long ago historical, but I vaguely remember a social media experiment where somebody basically had everybody decide everything for him. What he ate, what he wore. It's not like the Truman Show, but there's some elements of that. Even governing his relationships and his job. And I was like, man, it's been so long. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. I couldn't find it. So I asked Grok, and it came out with this, response and made some stuff up that sounded really good. And so I had Chat GPT open, and I was like, hey, Chat GPT. Grok told me this, but I don't know if it's accurate. Can you tell me? It's like, yeah, Grok's an idiot. It's making things up. And then I was like, oh, yeah, hey, Grok, this is what Chat GPT said about you. And it's like, you're right. My bad. I ended up in it was just great that these things can actually fact check each other very quickly. So if you're ever not sure of something, usually, and I still would recommend going to the source and checking it out for yourself. But if you're in a hurry, you're just trying to remember a story, like if you misremember it, you're not going to cause something catastrophic, hopefully. Just have them fact check each other, and it's awesome.
Can I throw something up on the screen? And I want to get your thoughts on it, Roy and Tanner. Can you throw this up, please? Why the fuck is it in $6 range, Tanner?
It's a bad market right now. Things will return. This is a buying opportunity.
Yeah.
If you haven't, now I'm talking specifically to Tevis. I'm not talking to anyone else in the chat at all.
The peak of Gobi was on January 7th.
Have you?
It's down 36% from the peak, Tanner.
It was a glorious week.
Have you put in the $100?
No.
Okay, put it in now.
Are you sure you want to do that? I will bankrupt this company if I put in $100 at this point.
Let me put in puts first.
Yeah. I'm gonna have their CEO Joe Ben calling me, be like, "Bro, don't."
Yeah. We've been following the discussion. Don't. Yeah, let's talk some S&P rebalances. So, one, SoFi did not make it into any Standard & Poor indexes. However, Tevis, hard mints.
Hims, yeah, made it into the S&P 400.
400.
Yeah. Dude, they were
Hims made it in.
They were in the S&P 600 in October, and they now made it into the mid cap 400 index.
Which, by the way, we heard some discussion about, oh, well, SoFi shouldn't get into the 400 index because then it'll be hard for them to transition to the 500 index. I think I had never heard anything like that before, but I think seeing what Hims had just done makes me realize that that's a falsity.
If the indices want you in, you're going to get in. They'll figure out a way. And we saw that, especially with one of the companies that was taken. Did you guys do a breakdown of the list or anything?
I have it up on screen here.
Yeah. Throw it up. I haven't even seen the full list.
DoorDash makes sense, like 70 or 80 billion market cap. And I honestly overlooked them on my post. I caught it by the time of the video that I did on predicting of this. That's the only one I got right out of all my possible predictions. You guys familiar with TKO?
Yes. UFC, WWE.
Is Williams-Sonoma the paint company?
No. They do appliances, high-end appliances. They're barely eligible. It's actually the craziest thing. They're barely eligible by market cap. Actually, all three of these are, other than DoorDash. They're like, I think the cutoff is 20.6 billion, and they're like 22, 23, 21 billion. Now, TKO Group, you could be like, okay, yeah, the industry's on the rise. We can, project EPS on that. That looks good. EXE, likewise, I don't know that business at all. Never heard of it at all. But you look at they're barely eligible by both market cap, and they're barely profitable too. But you look at the EPS projections and they're rosy. Williams-Sonoma.
Yeah,
they
Sherwin-Williams.
Wait, but I want to talk about Sherwin-Williams after. But go ahead.
So Williams-Sonoma barely gets in by market cap, barely gets in by net income, has declining revenue over the last year and over the last 3 years, has declining net income as well. And guess what? Are very impacted by tariffs if they come. So this company, it feels like, honestly, and it doesn't matter. I'm not upset about it. Robinhood does deserve to be in there, but there's 8 other companies too that deserved it. Probably 30 over this thing. If they had not selected Williams-Sonoma for this quarter, it's extremely likely it would be ineligible in future quarters, maybe indefinitely, because it's a declining revenue. Now, I don't know that company well. But that's just what the charts say. It's crazy.
I think that this it goes to highlight probably what we should pay attention to more in the S&P is diversification.
Yes.
They can't just add every single fast-growing tech company. I mean, they could, but the diversification towards tech has already been largely growing, and I don't think that they want exclusively tech, or at least not to the percentage that the NASDAQ is holding it at, their 100 composite. So that's why I think that these are the picks that you're seeing.
And that's going to make things very tough on Sofi. I predicted that they'll probably get in as soon as very late 2026 or 2027. They'll hit market cap before. They'll hit eligibility like well before. It may be longer than that if they're reticent to add fintech, because there's great fintech companies that deserve to be in today, actually even quarters ago, that are not. And so if they're like, hey, we'll digest like 2 a year, it's going to be a little while. And there's a lot of competition.
What's so funny is you say, is that Sherwin-Williams? They absolutely aren't they already on the S&P, by the way? I'm pretty sure they are. But
gotta have it.
Dude, I don't think you realize how big this company is. It's $91 billion market cap. It's one of the best performing stocks of all time.
Sherwin-Williams.
Dude, this is like a famous. I knew whenever you said the paint company that you didn't research this company before. But it's like,
hold on, sorry. What do they do in addition to paint? You can't tell me a paint company has 91 billion.
Paint.
You know what the TAM is, though?
Yeah, it's paint.
World. They're painting the world. That's their slogan.
I'm sorry. What they only sell paint and they have 90 billion in market cap.
Bro, you want to see if you would have bought this company at IPO? How much do you think that you've returned owning this company? It has been
probably a stupid amount, but like only paint.
128,000% up. and this company has done nothing but go up, buy back stock, deliver a dividend. It is actually a value investor's dream. This is a great company.
So guys, if you end up time traveling somehow to the year 2000, Sherwin-Williams, that is financial advice up until this present date.
Yeah, if you can time travel and buy Bitcoin.
I mean, like, buy that first and then use that to buy Bitcoin. Like, you know,
go start at Sherwin-Williams, then get into Monster Beverage, then transition in 2008 to Bitcoin. I'm sure there's a part where you should switch to Dogecoin at some point.
Yeah, remember it was created in 2013, so be on the lookout for that dog.
What are we doing with our life? Like, why are we investing in Hims and Palantir and Robinhood and all this shit? Like, just go in Sherwin-Williams. Apparently, paint.
It really is. Well, it really is a juggernaut, which not a lot of people realize.
And that's the thing is, like, unless you require it for the company to actually get your attention to detail in the stock, it's okay to invest in companies that you find boring, as long as you'll do the same DD or the DD that's needed there. Boring companies can profit like ridiculously and just compound year over year. They're not going to do like a 1,000x in a year or something. They're not going to be like Hims, but they can make you a lot of money too. So you just have to find, like Costco. We talked about it, how overpriced it was. It's a pretty boring company. Like, it's a great product. I'm not knocking that at all. But you look at it like, yeah, they sell groceries, other things too, but it's groceries. Boring. And you invested in it like 20 years ago. My goodness.
We started talking about Sherwin-Williams for the first time ever in the SoFi Weekly history. And people are like, can we stop? It's paint, guys. It's paint.
I'm reassessing all my life choices now that I found that a fucking paint company is $91 billion in market.
Yeah, it's way bigger than DoorDash. But yeah, I think they are the biggest paint company.
Damn the entire world.
People were pretty upset that in my top 4 companies, 4 did not make the list. Unfortunately,
I'm just surprised Joby didn't make your list.
What is the market cap? $5 billion for Joby, bro.
They're cooked.
1/18 of a Sherwin-Williams.
God damn. The moment I'm like, oh my God. So my first thought when I heard a paint company is $90 billion, I was like, dude, Palantir's cheap. You know, $250, it's cheap. And then Joby's at $5 billion, and I'm like, we need a recession. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good
Well,
comments
so
coming out of this, though.
does Joe B seem high to you? Is that what you're saying? Or you're like,
They're pre-revenue, bro.
yeah. Well, it's like a biotech, basically. So, but yeah, no, it's like
Joke
that's
not
the thing is,
called cancer. It's like literally air taxis.
yeah. No, I don't see the market for him either. So,
Last thing before we go, let's talk the future of markets really quickly. You guys want to talk the future of markets?
Sorry, I just read ETF's comment.
I put that on screen.
oh yeah.
The NASDAQ will try to enable 24-hour trading, and they think that they can anticipate our timeline being on the second half of 2026. What do you guys think?
Yeah, good. More liquidity. Nice already did this November, December last year. Vlad welcomed it with comments of his own. They're already looking at 24/7 on blockchain, so they're like light years ahead. But I think I don't love it personally. Like,
some people are pretty upset.
I think there's an element of danger, but I think it's more dangerous to allow like just certain segments that have very low liquidity to do it. This actually brings stability, so it's a welcome thing.
That's a really good point. You know what? It's actually more dangerous to not enable it. But also, I think the people that find it very okay as it is have time schedules that fit around when markets are open.
That's
fair. That's not the same everywhere in the world, or for certain people's jobs, or like I think it's very unfair to a lot of people to get access to markets if they don't fit into a specific time schedule.
My only concern, and I'm fine with it because, we've had crypto be 24 hours, 7 days a week for a while now.
Yeah.
And it just normalizes. My only concern is it's completely going to change the habits of option traders. Or let me back up. I don't know how option trading is going to work because you now have all of this extra time that unknown factors can change and add more volatility. So the premiums are going to be like super juiced up. And I would also imagine, just thinking of it from first principles, that like a lot of people are going to start playing with much smaller time frame for options. Like it might not be weekly. Cause like, think about it this way. I mean, I don't know, right? From 9:30 to 4 p.m., that's pretty much when you can buy options or sell options. And that's, however many hours that is in a week. But now you have 24 hours times 7 days. Are you still going to place a weekly option? Because the time exposure for your risk is like triple, essentially. So are you going to get triple the premium? Can you do options that expire every 3 days? Like, I don't know how that, like what the next evolution would be is what I'm saying.
What the next step is the same as after hours. After hours and pre-market have not been around forever. I still remember when they weren't around because I'm ancient, but that had the same consternation as far as the market. People were very concerned, and options are not available after hours or before hours. The only thing you can do is exercise them within a certain time frame, but other than that, you're stuck. And so that's the same case with 24-hour markets. Outside the normal trading hours, options are not available. And I think that they're going to treat it that way too when they roll out. Basically, everybody's in 24/5. So I don't think, like realistically, even though there's more time to react as far as equity, Tevis, it doesn't, I think, change anything for options, especially if they handle it that way. But I mean, like, how much does it actually matter as long as it's not super, super low liquidity when something happens overnight? Versus like if that hadn't happened overnight, it'd still drop or rise up. I guess I'm in a bearish mood because drop the same amount probably.
The thing I'm trying to figure out is like, I don't know about the options and how that changes. I'm sure the market will adjust pretty quickly to the pricing for, changes in risks or exposures. But what does this mean for the brokerages and the trading platforms that are in these markets? Does triple the time mean triple the volume? Probably not. Does it mean the same volume spread out? Probably not.
Yeah, so probably the same volume spread out, because you have to think about international markets like China, can't invest during their daytime. They have to invest during their nighttime.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's
Right.
slightly negative towards brokerages that offer this as a niche, just because somebody might be using some platform that I don't know what doesn't these days, but conceivably doesn't offer 24-hour trading. And they're like, well, I guess I'll go over to my smaller brokerage, Robinhood, and make that trade.
Mm.
So they'll lose some of that. But I mean, like if this was a company's only niche, that they're in trouble. Like that's just they need to innovate. Versus like if you look at Robinhood, Vladson of CEO of Robinhood, his comments at the Fireside Chat, he was talking about basically them doing the next evolution of both the UI and platform and how easy that is to do with AI for competitors, and also the 24/5 market. He's like, well, we're talking about 24/7 on blockchain instant settlement. Like that's light years ahead of this.
So just on Tanner's thing, like I'm trying to think about it, as to what the cause and effect would be. Wouldn't it be more bullish for international brokers than for just US brokers? Because especially for different time zones like Europe and Asia, now they can invest on their own time. So you would imagine that volume would go up there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like, okay, what's the next thing? Like I made a joke to one of the viewers. I was saying like, oh, I'm going to short DraftKings because now I can just do 0 DTE calls on Saturday instead of betting on the UFC. But like I'm trying to think of it as to what if any play there is here.
Well, I'm just thinking, whether it's algorithmic traders, day traders, institutions that, like I just don't see how they just don't add to their total output, that they're just not trading during this extra available time. Like I think people that make a certain amount of trades per day will make more trades per day, because even if they take a break at 4 usually, but that probably won't happen, they'll probably play right through earnings and world events that happen at night or something like this, even here.
Yeah, but it's exactly like, so for example, my broker doesn't offer overnight trading. No broker in Canada offers overnight trading.
Yeah, and most, although Robinhood has these tools available, I know a lot of people that still don't use them as much because the liquidity is low or it's only at Robinhood. So if you're using a traditional brokerage, still a lot of them do not have access to this yet.
Yes, the liquidity will be low, but my point is, if I'm watching the State of the Union and it's at 10 p.m. at night and something is said that moves markets, everybody who has Robinhood has an advantage over me because they can trade that in real time and I can't. And by the time 9:30 a.m. the following day hits, the trade is already gone. It's already been priced in and the market is already going to move however it's going to move in overnights or in pre-market.
So
And
how does this not lead to more volume?
this is what I'm saying. It does lead to more volume because I want to capitalize on that trade. And because I can't do it because my broker doesn't allow me to, I will let the trade go. But if I have the ability to do it in real time, I'm going to do it in real time. Even if it's like, I'm placing a bet for $100 or $1,000 or whatever. And I'm saying, okay, well, markets are going to go up. Let me, put in a trade. The next morning, I would just not put in the trade. I would leave my long-term positions as they are and, let it pass. I don't know. Like that's how I'm thinking about it. You have the ability now to react in real time to all events.
Yeah.
And most of the world does not have that currently. So that's going to increase volume.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it will be a big positive for the brokerages, in my opinion. And also, I also find that even in certain brokerages, even in after hours trading, they'll allow you to buy and sell, but their UI won't update the same way that it'll update during regular trading hours. Things like this. So I just find that like the unlocks, if it is a standard across the industry, will make it a little bit more seamless and more people will feel like they have the ability to trade during overnight. Probably not the people that are bringing a lot of liquidity, but still more traders. All right. We ready to go?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are headed over to the SoFi Weekly After Hours show. If you guys want to see that, it'll be up tomorrow or the next day or even the next. I'm pretty terrible at this, and if Tevis or Roy don't update me, then I have a hard time getting it out on time. But we still do it, and it will be updated and put out. Check us there. You can hit the subscribe button down below, the join button to join. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. Bye for now.